Okay, moving further, another important business intelligence application is in telecom sector. A very important sector, a very vast sector that has seen a growth in last few years, a lot of growth in last few years. Business intelligence in telecom can help with churn management, with your marketing and your this customer profiling, network failure, and fraud detection. So we'll move on to each of these points one by one. What is churn management over here? So if we talk about churn management, I'll elaborate it in such a way that telecom customers have shown a tendency to switch their providers in search for better deals. So what does this mean? So if you are attached to a particular telecom company and you wanted to switch to some other company because there was the pricing of that company was less as compared to the company in which you were already there. So this is a sensitive factor in case of your customers. So if how a company comes to know which kind of customers they are very sensitive to the pricing of a particular let's say any of the product they are selling. Let's say you are having your plans, you can say different plans in a month. So business intelligence definitely helps telecom companies to know about the you can say the different customers who are very much sensitive to different kind of plans which are having an amount there. So you have some customers who try to switch to some other company just to gain a few, let's say, a few amount in their plan. So for this, if a company calls that customer to retain that customer, they try to negotiate with them to get the maximum benefit of their original company only. So they have a habit of doing this thing that they try to negotiate with the original company to get the benefit in terms of your monetary benefits or in terms of some other let's say data packs and other things by the same company only. So this is how these all things are being planned, how the company comes to know about it, but about these such kind of customers. That definitely is again your business intelligence that helps in such kind of churn management. Then another important factor is marketing and product creation. How you are going to plan, or how you are going to, you can say, develop a plan for the customers that are present or a part of your own this organization. So that is again your that is being provided, or that is being is made. The decisions are made at the higher level using some business intelligence tools by again seeing the original data, then even knowing the market trends, even knowing about the customers complaints at different your this customer complaint cells. So these are all things help a particular company to give suitable plans where the customers would definitely get satisfied and they would remain with that company and organization for the telecom services. So this is again your marketing and product creation part. That is again based on business intelligence tools only. Another important factor is your network failure management. Sometimes what happens is due to some technical glitches, technical faults in your product, in different, let's say, switches or hubs located at different locations, or even equipments on your towers, there is a network failure. So that failure has a very negative impact on the customers. So business intelligence tools definitely help you to know what kind of failure in a particular equipment can occur after that much amount of time, or what kind of failure would definitely have a great impact on the customers. So definitely a company and organization, they try to you can say provide your such kind of equipments where the failure is very less. That means the high quality products are used, and that definitely would help you to retain your customers with yourself only. Again, fraud management, it's again an important in case of telecom industry also, there are customers who do fraud with them by never paying for a service, by even trying to fight with the customer care people that I do such a thing and I'm not provided with such services. So how to help this company to cater to such kind of frauds, how to manage those frauds. So BI tools help these companies to do such kind of fraud management also. Another important factor is your in government also. So government also gathers a large amount of data by virtue of their regulatory functions, and this data could be analyzed for developing models of effective functioning. So daily, very large amount of data is even generated in the government organizations, and that data also provides great input to the people who are managing it at the higher level. They are your IS people, Indian civil services people in different departments, and definitely that helps in effective functioning by the guidance of the BI tools. That these, if you make a small change in your policies, a small change in your procedures that are being followed for implementation of some government policies, so you can have an effective governance. And here the role of this law enforcement agencies comes into picture, and the scientific research also comes into picture. And law enforcement means that those who are responsible for enforcement of law in this city, in district, in your government functioning. So they are all providing a large amount of data. That means they are generating a large amount of data, and that definitely helps people. Like if we say about district, so district collector is one of the person who is responsible for law enforcement in your particular district only of that area. So all those things are basically guided by, or you can say, are managed by the this BI tools that definitely helps district collector also to know about like how you can enforce laws, how you can take different decisions in different situations for your own district. Similarly, for scientific research also, you have a large collection of research data available in different forms. So what kind of data definitely helps particular in a particular area to the government to know that that in this area more research is needed, so that you can provide better effective you can say functioning. If we conclude about this, all the business intelligence applications, we can say that BI is a comprehensive set of information technology tools to support decision making with imaginative solutions for a variety of problems. So you have already seen in a large number of BI applications. So BI can help improve the performance in nearly all industries and applications. So you cannot even say that no industry needs business intelligence. Almost all industry needs it, and in all applications, in one way or the other, you are using business intelligence to improve one thing or the other. It can be profits, it can be revenue, it can be effectiveness of implementation of some rules and regulations. It can be a general implementation these rules and regulations that are being followed by an organization. In every area, you need business intelligence for improvement. So this is all about your this topic. So I'll be starting up with data warehousing topic, and that's a part of your first section only. An important concept. We have already studied a bit introduction about your business intelligence already in the previous lectures. So I'll be taking up data warehouse in this. So under it, we'll be studying what is data warehousing, and we'll see what are the benefits of your data warehousing. Moving on to your differences between your OLTP and data warehousing. OLTP is your online transaction processing. We'll be discussing it in detail today only. Then we'll move on to the architecture of data warehouse and what are the main components of your data warehouse. What are the data flows? What are the tools and techniques for used in your data warehousing? What is the integration in that? And then importance of managing metadata. And after that, we'll be studying even data marks. So first, we'll be studying major what is data warehousing. What's that term? We have already discussed in our first introductory part also. Again, repeating it and of course elaborating it further. A data warehousing is a subject-oriented, integrated, time-variant, and non-volatile collection of data in support of management's decision-making process. This is the most popular definition of your data warehouse, and it includes 4 characteristics that are a part of data warehouse. What are those characteristics? One is your subject-oriented, second is your integrated, third is your time-variant, and fourth is your non-volatile collection of data in support of management's decision-making process. We'll be studying all these characteristics in the coming slides. A data warehouse is a data management and data analysis. You even call it like this also, that it's a data management and data analysis tool also. You can say it like this. Data warehouse is a distributed data warehouse that is implemented over the web with no central data repository. So as you know, regarding your client server systems, there is only one server, and that's a central repository for a large amount of data placed at one location. In case of data warehouse, it is not so. It is similar to your distributed data warehouse, where there is no central data repository for your large amount of data. In fact, a large amount of data is saved at different locations in the world, and they are connected or in this through your this www World Wide Web with each other, and from data warehouse uses this web to implement that data warehousing. Goal or objective is to integrate the enterprise-wide corporate data into a single repository from which users can easily run queries. But the objective of data warehousing is to integrate enterprise-wide data means enterprise-wide corporate data means the data provided by those enterprises or organizations which are having similar kind of businesses, similarity in terms of your this products. So you integrate that and you provide a single repository for those users who want some kind of, you can say, analysis of those data for future planning. Now, the terms that were already discussed, what is subject oriented? So data warehouse is organized around the major subjects of the enterprise rather than the major application areas. And this is reflected in the need to store decision support data rather than application oriented data. Now here what happens is subject oriented. I've already discussed an example in my first lecture also regarding your college database. So college means an organization which is running your this graduation and post graduation courses. So subject oriented, here the major application area is, let's say, higher education. That is after your +2 in India. So that is a major subject or area. So data warehouse always is built up around a major subject area. That is your, let's say in this case, this example, that's your higher education. Second important term in the definition is integrated, because the source data come together from different enterprise-wide application systems. The source data is often inconsistent. Using the integrated data source must be made consistent to present a unified view of data to the user. This also I have discussed in the same example of this college database. But there are thousands of, I'll say lakhs of colleges in India. And if all these colleges, they start providing data to the data warehouse in their own form, that data warehouse would not have any kind of similarity for storing that data. So I've already discussed also, I'll again repeat the example. Let's say student name only. In some colleges that would have been written as student name, in other it would have been written as field as your name. Other it can be your S name, or in another it can be S underscore name. In other it can be STU or short of your student underscore name. So if all of this has to be integrated, in that case you need a unified view of data that should be available in the data warehouse. That means all these fields should be integrated with only single name in the data warehouse. So that should be represented in the data warehouse by a single name. That is integration. So a large number of colleges, if they provide the student data to this data warehouse, there should be some integration for all the fields that are present in the data warehouse. Another is your time variant. Time variant. Now, the source in the data warehouse is only accurate and valid at some point in time or over some time interval. So if you start seeing the data, let's say 5 years down the line, let's say today we are in 2021 and we start seeing the data of 2016, means 2010 to 2016. So that might not be of much use for taking decisions, because after 2016, a lot many things have changed. So again, this data available in the data warehouse, it has some kind of, you can say, relevance related to your, I'll say, decision making. So if you have your latest data of 2016 to 2021 present, that would be definitely better for your decision making as compared to the data that is available before 2016. So this is in this time variant part. This is the basic base of your this data warehouse only. The time variance of data warehouse is also shown in the extended time that the data is held, the implicit or explicit association of time with all the data, and the fact that the data represents a series of snapshots. So here what happens is if we start seeing the data from 2016 to 2021 for decision making, so the data that is available before that, that means that is of no use? No, not such thing are there. Of course, the importance of data that was present before 2016 has reduced, but still it might be of importance in some other decision making. This you can say some other for other decision making aspects. So in that case, you have to see to it what kind of importance is there. Whether you need only a data that is latest, or you even need a data of let's say 8 to 10 years down the line. So in that case, that plays a very important role. So time variant is again an important characteristic of your data warehouse. Non-volatile. Non-volatile means it remains for there forever. That means it is not like if you have used it, it gets deleted or it is washed out. So in fact, in your this computer fundamentals, you might have studied the concept of ROM, ROM, and RAM, RAM. So ROM is where the data is available in a non-volatile form every time, and in RAM, random access memory, till the time your system is on. That means your system is having your electricity, the data is available. As soon as you shut down your system, the data gets washed out. So similarly over here, data is not updated in real time, but is refreshed from the operating system on a regular basis. So new data is always added as a supplement to your database rather than replacement, and the database continuously absorbs this new data incrementally, integrating it with the previous data. So in case of data warehouse, there is no such thing that your data is refreshed or you're edited from time to time. Of course, but there is a provision that you can go on adding new data to supplement the original data, and you do not replace the original data, that only adds on to it. And of course, you have whatever data you have added onto it, it needs integration with the previous data. You have to integrate that data to the already existing data. Okay, moving on to the benefits or advantages of data warehousing. The potential benefits of data warehousing are high returns on investment, a very important factor. High returns on investment, that means decision makers, after getting analysis reports from data warehouse, are able to take better decisions, and those decisions definitely help to get better returns on the investment. That means profits are high. And we have already studied also, our main purpose is also this thing that your decision making process that is now reduces the risk involved in your future decisions. So if the reduction is there, definitely the success rate is also high, and that's why you can say the return on investment is high. Second important advantage is substantial competitive advantage. The competitors who are there in the market and they are not having any access to your data warehousing analysis data, in that case, you might have an edge over those competitors, and you might go a large ahead of your competitors so that your competitors cannot easily reach your level. So that's again a competitive advantage you reach you when you use your data warehouse for your decision making process. Increased productivity of corporate decision makers. So your productivity also increases a lot by your taking your decisions based on your this data warehousing concepts. So these are your benefits of data warehouse. Now, difference between your OLTP and data warehouse. So first of all, you should know what is an OLTP concept. You already know it. I'm only going to just refresh your concepts. So that in your BCA, if you have already studied databases, maybe your Oracle, maybe your MySQL, maybe your other any other database, and you have already studied the concepts of your creating your table, inserting values into it, then you're updating it continuously, having your select queries for extracting different kinds of data. So all the transactions that you have already studied in your databases, they were based on your OLTP concepts, that is online transaction processing concepts only. And now we are actually concentrating on data warehouse, which is almost you can say totally different from your OLTP concepts. So a DBMS built for online transaction processing, OLTP, is generally regarded as unsuitable for data warehousing because each system is designed with a different set of requirements in mind. So if we say that the databases that we already have used and we already have knowledge about, like Oracle, like MySQL, we have used different kind of queries for extracting data from your this databases, they are totally unsuitable for using in data warehouse. And that's because the designing is also different and your requirements is also different in case of data warehouse. So example is OLTP systems are designed to maximize the transaction processing capacity, while the data warehousing systems are designed to support the ad hoc query systems or ad hoc query processing. So totally different objective is only there. If we say it, OLTP systems were designed to maximum transaction processing capacity. A large number of transactions should be processed per second. That is your OLTP systems. But in case of data warehouses, no such objective is there. Their main base is that those systems should be designed in such a way that they are able to handle ad hoc queries. Ad hoc queries is a totally different concept, and that definitely you will understand when you will go through the other slides of data warehousing. Now, comparison of OLTP systems with your data warehousing systems. OLTP systems always hold current data that is present now only, maybe a few seconds before your this or a few minutes before you are having your data in your database, or you can say you have added new data into your database, that comes under your OLTP systems. But in case of data warehousing system, it never has any current data. It is always having historical data, and it's current when you just now have added into your data warehouse. In that case, for some time it is current, but that is not called as current, because whenever it is needed, it is always a time, long time after the data is present in that data warehouse. So it's always a historical data. In OLTP systems, you store detailed data. I've already discussed also that you have a large number of fields in your this tables that you are already using in your this databases, maybe in your Oracle, maybe in your MySQL. That means you are having your data in a detailed form. But when you move for your this data warehouses data, that is always having data that is that sometimes stores a part of it in a detailed way, but normally it stores in detailed a few of the fields, lightly detailed in some other fields, and highly summarized data in some other fields. So data warehousing system is not only having the detailed data in some cases, it is also having lightly detailed data and you can say highly summarized data in some cases. In case of OLTP systems, data is dynamic, and in case of data warehouse system, it is largely static. Dynamic because it goes on changing, because we have already even come to know that it holds current data, so that's why it is dynamic. But in case of data warehouse system, because it is having historical data, it is largely static data. Repetitive processing is required in OLTP systems. Continuously and repeatedly, you have to process your data in case of OLTP systems. But in case of data warehousing systems, ad hoc, unstructured, and heuristic processing. It is not necessary that every time you need your processing. Sometimes you need your ad hoc processing, sometimes your unstructured kind of processing. So in some other cases, heuristic processing requirements are there. So it's not a repetitive process. It is only when the requirement is there. Under OLTP systems, high level of transaction throughput. This we have already studied in the definition also. Transaction throughput should be high. That's the main objective of OLTP system. But in case of data warehousing system, medium to low level of transaction throughput is their objective. You don't need to have a very high level of transaction throughput. Even medium and low level is okay. Is okay means it's sufficient for your data warehousing systems. In case of OLTP systems, predictable pattern of usage, and in case of data warehousing systems, unpredictable pattern of usage. So if you see your data that is present in your tables in the form of tables in your database, in that case, it is easy to predict the pattern of usage of the database. But in case you see your this data warehousing data in a different format, in that case, there are no directly predictable patterns available. They are unpredictable, and you have to find out. In fact, you have to search for some unpredictable patterns for using it. Another important factor is your this OLTP systems are transaction driven, and your data warehousing systems are your analysis driven. Transaction driven because the main objective is on transaction throughput. Analysis driven because the main objective is on analysis. So that's why these objectives are totally different. And OLTP system supports day-to-day decisions and day-to-day data. This we have already know also, because in different tables, if you store your data, that data is day-to-day transactions, day-to-day decisions, day-to-day data that is generated through your day-to-day operations. But in case of your this data warehouse, we have a subject-oriented data, and that of course supports strategic decisions only. So not the day-to-day decisions. Strategic decisions are the decisions that are taken by your managers, your executives, your owners of the organization, who have to see to it that how future growth of the organization has to be planned. OLTP system serves large number of clerical and operational users are involved because data interpreters are there. They are all only based on your this OLTP systems only. They are basically connected with OLTP systems only. But data warehousing systems here they serve relatively how the number of managerial users they use the data warehouse systems for decision making. So they are not for your common people, or you can say common this person, but OLTP systems are available to common persons also. So there's a totally different concept. So that's why we can say that the normal OLTP system that or the models that we were using for storing the data in the form of tables was not at all suitable for storing a very large amount of data in the data warehouses. So totally different concept has to be used to store your data in your data warehouse. Okay, we'll be discussing now some of the problems that we face in your data warehousing. Underestimating of resources for data loading. So there are different kind of problems because we are dealing with a very large amount of data. So we are going to face a large amount of problems also under it, but we have to see to it how these problems are solved using your data warehousing concepts and models. So first problem is your underestimating of resources for data loading. So you have to load your data into data warehouse, and for that you need some kind of estimation to do it. Sometimes what happens is you underestimate the resource, that the data from a particular resource might not be much suitable for loading in your data warehouse, but actually it plays a very important role in your data warehouse. So in that case, problem is how to find out which kind of your resource that provides the data is suitable for data warehousing, or which kind of resource is not suitable, and what all changes or you can say modifications have to be done to integrate a particular resource to a data warehouse. This is the first problem. Second problem is your hidden problems with your source systems. So there are some of the hidden problems with every source system. If we take an example of colleges that I have already taken, that there are large number of colleges who are running your this course, higher education courses. So they have their own hidden problems that might be different from some other college or organization. Like example, if you see the process of admission only, you have a very large number of fields in the that student table, or you can say admission this prospectus. But sometimes in an organization, some fields they don't even bother to get it filled from the students, and that plays a very important role in your data warehouse. Let's say I'll take an example of age or date of birth. So sometimes you have your data. Sometimes even if a student has not put up your this age or date of birth, you even allow it to get admitted, and you only have its documents of that day. It has cleared its +2, so that is sufficient for you. So if you have not put the data, so that might not be inserted into the this normal table of your database, and that might not become a part of your data warehouse. So these are some kind of hidden problems. That means some source systems they do not pay much importance to some of the fields which are really important in case of data warehouse. Another important problem is required data not captured. So that I have already discussed in my previous example only. The age, data, date of birth, they are your required data, and that was not captured by some of the institutes or some of the colleges. So that means that's again a problem. This I have taken just an example, although this is an important field, and normally all this capture this data. Maybe some other field is there. Let's say spouse, let's say mother name. Some of them they have given the mother name, some of them they have not. So that means that you have not captured an important data. Increased end user demand. So you have your different demands by the end user, and they go on increasing as and when they start using different concepts of data warehouse. So that might involve addition of some more fields into data warehouse, and getting captured more data from the sources of your different colleges. Taking an example of college only. So that's again a problem, how you have to cater to the end user demands that goes on increasing day by day. Another is data homogenization.